is season 10. 10, Jim. 10 seasons. Episode 1, Color of War. We're coming to you live over the interweb from all around the United States of America. And wherever you are in the world, welcome to the show. Today, we're going to do our typical. We're going to do catch up. We're going to do some news because Marty does have news this time. And we're going to talk about Color of War and much, much more in 3, 2, 1.
Big Duke 6 Eagle Thrust. Put on side war off. Sing it loud. Into the Romeo Foxtrot. Shall we dance?
You are listening to the Sitrep podcast, your source for everything related to historical wargaming. Whether you are looking for the latest wargaming news, reviews, painting tutorials, or playthroughs, you will hear about it right here. So grab your favorite beverage or brush and let's hit it.
All right. Welcome. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Yeah, we got the crew here. Everybody's present, accounted for. Here we are. So, okay. As tradition, what have you been doing since our last show? And guys, this is season 10, episode 1.
Yes.
So, we used to do goofy seasons. We did more like the British format where you had a series, right? And we could have multiple seasons in a year. Now we are just down to a season in a calendar year. So this is season 10. Chris, what is this I see? You're DMing a game?
I am not. Oh, that's GMing.
Okay, GMing, DMing, whatever. Same diff, but what are you DMing or GMing?
I was the game master at Flight. So I was there with all the games that we brought over from Critical Grind. And I was there to assist anybody who wanted to get going in one of the games.
That's very cool.
Yeah. It would be nice if we had people.
Nobody showed?
It was not that nice out, so scared off some people.
Gotcha. Yeah, and there's a regular crew that shows up there, and they brought their own games because it's kind of how we go.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, Chris, what other hobbying have you been doing, sir?
I have been doing I've been working on my Sublight Gravelords army, and I'm in the middle of building direwolves right now.
Okay. Very cool.
Also, one of the trivia questions at the game that we played at Flight was direwolves. Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was. What does Chris not do?
Paint. Oh no, yeah. I was gonna say that's paint. That's not trivia. That's
facts.
That's just a thing.
But I will be getting some painting going on. Hopefully this week I will be receiving my new airbrush.
Nice. I'm about this close to pulling the trigger on one. Yeah, I was looking at their website and I'm like, do I want that one or do I want the Angel Heraldez special? I couldn't decide. So, and I need a compressor, So it's like,
turns out, yeah.
Okay, you are not buying a compressor again with me. Not going to.
Oh, Chris, that was wife 1.
Mm-hmm.
Wife 2, the right wife, is very cool.
Yeah,
and she's not like that.
I know. But
except when it comes to guns.
I did get my ass chewed a lot when it came to the compressor.
But that was wife 1.
I know.
So it doesn't matter. That part of my history no longer exists.
And you still blame us for all the stuff that you buy.
I'm imagining, I would say your spouse would, but you don't have one. And Marty, I don't think Donna knows.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
Yeah.
Any other hobby-related stuff, Chris?
No.
All right. Marty?
Well, so I joined Chris out there at the Flight the other night. Played a trivia game, as you may have deduced from my comment. Let's see. I've got
little.
Would be for you to
nerd.
shut up so I can talk. Thank you. So, good
Damn.
morning. I'm almost fully caffeinated, boys, and I've only got half this pot left. So let's do this. Working on my in-country dudes. I've got the PMCs almost done. There's a separate blister pack of female operators. I've got them started. I've got the big parts blocked in. I got to do all the detail stuff. And I built all of the African militia forces and have them primed.
Nice.
So progress is being made there.
Nice. Excellente. Anything else,
And
Marty?
And I tried to clean up my hobby space a little bit because I'm the guy that pulls everything out and it all ends up on the desk, and then I have like a space this big to work. So I'm trying to not do that as much.
Right.
So put my stuff away. If I've got just like leftover bits and crap, either put it away or throw it away.
Cool.
I'm not good at it. I'm not gonna lie. I like having my stuff around me, I guess.
Yeah.
It's your safe area.
Yeah, I mean, it's like my little nest of hobby crap.
No, I get you. I get you.
The thing I was going to say earlier, Marty, was Wednesday was also your eldest birthday.
Yeah, my daughter Maria's birthday.
And
26.
And she had her first shot of Malort.
Yeah. Oh. You did not.
And she knew.
I did not.
She knew what it was.
Yeah,
and
I thought you loved her.
I do. But I did, and I even said that to her. I said, I was going to get you a shot of Malort for your birthday. However, I love you too much. But
so he bullies her into doing a shot. Does he even do a shot with her? No.
I didn't bully her.
Big chicken.
No. You were talking to somebody. That was the, I would have done a shot with her. Did. No, we told the bartender.
Hey, Damon, tough years.
And he poured her the shot of Malort.
You're just a wicked, wicked man. Wicked.
Oh, I would have done a shot.
I don't know how we entrusted you to be the godfather of our children.
Right? I'm pretty sure Maria's regretting it.
Uh-huh. Oh, well, happy birthday to her.
So let's see. It's Saturday morning. This was Wednesday. That aftertaste is probably out of her mouth by now.
Yeah. So for anybody who does not know what Malort is, it is a bitters alcohol made in Chicago. It is totally Chicago. It is like we took the sewer droppings from the water treatment plant, bottled it, fermented it, and then filtered it, and then that's what you have.
So Jeppson's, a Swedish company, well, not like from Sweden, but
right.
A person of Swedish descent, has a distillery in Chicago where they make this. And it technically, hold your hats, it's a bourbon.
It's not. It's a bitters.
Yeah, no, read the label, bro.
Whatever.
Oh,
it's just
blew
disgusting.
My mind too.
It's so what you serve tourists that you don't like.
It tastes like gasoline and fermented fish heads. and we make people drink this stuff just so we can watch them freak out because it's so bad.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we get the tourists with it. Now we do have a thing that we call the Chicago Handshake, which is a shot of Malort, and if you're in the right classy joint, a can of Old Style to wash it down. And let me tell you, Old Style never tasted so good after you've had a Malort.
Right? Old Style's making a big comeback, man.
It's it's really not a bad beer. I mean, it's no high-end beer.
It's all my grandpa drank.
It's
Cubs games, Bears games, everybody pulled out the Old Style. And if you went down to the corner bar, you got Old Style because they had the sign out front.
Yep.
And you got, sorry, I'm going to go off tangent here.
Here we go.
Okay, so there's a Facebook group I belong to called Chicago Style Pizza, not called Tavern Style. You guys are fucking wrong, okay? It is tavern style. The reason it's tavern style is because it's cut in squares. Do you know why it's cut in squares? Because that's how they drew people into the bar. They would make a pizza, they cut into small squares, and people could munch on the pizza and buy drinks. That's where tavern style comes from. It's not the style of the pizza, it's the cut. And that's why it was called tavern style. So all you people on that Facebook group are wrong. Moving on. Jim, how are you and what have you been up to?
Why do you stay in that group then? Seems to make you angry.
Go ahead, Jim.
It's been pretty calm over here.
Yeah.
I haven't really been working on too much. Our hobby area is being reorganized a little bit.
Okay.
We got some old rolling shelves that worked great for a number of years, but now some of the drawers were busted out of it. The wheels are very wobbly. So a Jen got me some new shelving units. So basically everything hobby related has to get, or at least like painting and construction related, has to get pulled out of these old shelves, put in these new ones. So we're working on that. Doing some research for Lebanon 83 because I've got some raw footage in the can from a previous game. We're going to start making that into an episode.
Nice.
But in order to do some sort of competent intro, outro, and some context background, I want to get boned up on that period a little bit because it's from before the Marine barracks bombing in '83. So it's not something that I know a whole heck of a lot about. Want to get a little bit more, solid footing on that period. Because I think that's what sets us apart from some other channels is we are our gaming channels. We provide a little bit more historical, actual bedrock and, background to some of the content.
Right.
And that's about it right now. A lot of stuff going on. Getting into our busy part of the year.
Yeah, it is. Isn't it for you?
Some family stuff is coming up. So just keeping my head above water, really.
Okay. All right. Well, what have I been up to?
Not a terribly a dynamic report from.
Oh, that's okay. Hey, it's fine. Everybody has times when real life gets in the way of the hobby, so it's good. For me, oh boy, have I done some damage this week.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I've done some damage this week.
You bought some paints.
Yeah. So, little show and tell time. So I have nothing left hobby wise. I have to rebuild my collection. So I bought one of these shaker doohickeys lab things.
Yeah.
These are now $22. 2 years ago, these were $70-$80. Now they're down to like $22.
I think I got mine like show special at Adepticon. Was it last year? Year before last? And it was it $70 I paid for that, Chris? Does that sound right?
Yeah. Well, they've got different quality of ones too.
It's just supply and I mean, COVID supply is now, that issue is all gone. So prices are dropped in demand, So I got a paint shaker and then I bought one of these.
I saw a review on that and, it was John Ninus, Ninja, and he's like, I thought this was going to be a gimmicky piece of crap.
Right. And I saw the same video.
Yep. And he's like, I think I actually like it. I think it might be useful.
What the hell is it?
It's a
paintbrush.
Sorry. You put water in here, clean water, and because of gravity and, physics, it puts water into here. You clean your brush, and then when you dump it, you push this button, it dumps the dirty water into the holding tank, and then refills it with clean water. So your clean water for your brush is always clean. So you don't have contaminated paint water. Which is especially nice for metallics, but any paint. Yeah. So anytime you're rinsing your brush, the next brush you clean will have clean water.
Someone just stole that from their cat, it looks like.
Basically, but it works.
I was going to say, I already have one of those. She's called Jennifer. And
Whoa.
It's like, Jen, give me some more clean water, please. Thank you. More clean water. Thank you.
$12.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, like for $12, I'll try it. Yeah, I actually ordered it after watching his video. So
he does the probably twice a year he does. I bought a bunch of crap off the internet to see if it's any good review type videos, and every now and then he gets some good stuff.
Yep. And then, as Chris alluded to, I bought the entire set of Pro Acryl from Monument Hobbies paints because I watched Ninja John's review of them and he really likes them. And I watched another guy and I'm like, man, these are expensive. It's like 24 bottles for $100. I'm like, holy crap, that's expensive. However, the bottles are much bigger. And then there was a guy who did a review of different paints, Army Painter, Vallejo, Citadels, and he broke it down to price per ml.
Yeah,
The
that's
price
22
difference was no different.
22 milliliter bottle.
Yeah.
Versus what's
17.
TW 17.
Yeah, for the biggest or
And
Yeah.
I love them. I don't have the full range. I've
Yeah.
only got a couple of their kits.
Yeah.
I enjoy them greatly.
Yeah.
You're colorblind. You don't need the full range.
So there was that. Adepticon ordered. We'll talk about that shortly, but we got our passes for that. Oh, we are going to have a table in the historical wing.
Yep.
Talk to Mike.
Yep, I talked to Mike the other day.
Sweet.
I got to follow up with him. I told him I'd get back to him, and then work got in the way, and I forgot to get back to him. But we were actually waiting to hear back from Matt from Adepticon to see if we can get the rooms like we've had in the past, but I never heard back from him. So we'll just go with the table unless something changes. I did that.
Being over there is going to be way better. There's a ton more room.
Well, I liked having the rooms that we could lock. And then, I liked having that space there. So
we'll talk to Mike, because last year he got us a room on the side that we could secure stuff in if we needed to.
Okay. Also, for promotion, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it sounds like a bot.
Yeah, we'll get rid of that.
Kill that. Yeah,
we're gonna kill you. I kill you.
And while you're doing that, tough years. Magically, I had no tech issues this morning, and the difference between what I did today and what I did on the last one, nothing. Nothing. It's a ghost. Maybe you should come over and look at my computer. I think
there you go.
So
Tuffy Ghostbuster over here to
right.
Look at the Marty's tech.
Who you gonna call?
There's some gremlins in the machine.
And then last Saturday, a week from today, there's a small miniatures company called Games Workshop. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of them.
Are they new?
It's a little place out of Nottingham. Had a release of something called the Old World.
You went all in on Old Hammer, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Wasn't Bill making fun of people for buying Old Hammer? Okay.
But I have to be honest with you. I do like the look of the Bretonnian Knights.
Yeah, because they look like colonial
and
bread.
To be honest with you, it is something Dawn will play.
Oh, cool.
Oh, well, there you go. All right, at least you get mileage there. Yeah.
But we're also going to expand it because I have to support my friend Ronnie Renton from Mantic Games. So it leads us into playing Kings of War. They're alternative to Warhammer Fantasy. And you can use any models there or their own. But anyways, yes, that's something Dawn is interested in playing. Go ahead, Jim. What
I was just going to say, I heard that Kings of War has improved their rule set.
Mm-hmm.
Because at first
it was clunky.
It was fine for fantasy, like some of the stuff the units can do.
Mm-hmm.
But then they started to flirt a little bit along the edges of either ancient or medieval historical.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, all those little things we could overlook before. Now I have a problem. Like, have you guys ever done close order drill? That's not how formations move. You pivot perfectly in place. I guess if every single unit in your medieval army was the Marine Corps silent drill team, maybe you could maneuver your units that way.
Mm-hmm.
But from what I understand, some of the, especially movement rules, some of the movement rules, like the whole bounce back bounce back 1 inch or something like that, that rule's been cleaned up. All right.
So yeah, there's that.
And
so yes,
I have your old Kings of War stuff. So
yeah, I don't want to.
I was going to say I might have to bust those out and see what's useful.
Word of warning, that is one of the original Kings of War starter sets made in rustic. Ask anybody about rustic, and they will pull their hair out. It's terrible material. The parts don't fit right. The minis, now they make them in hard plastic. So, but we're actually thinking of taking our getting Lord of the Rings minis and making our armies based on Lord of the Rings minis, because you can use pretty much anything. We'll probably get a start. Yeah. My plan is at some point is to do a comparison video of Warhammer Fantasy, or Old World as they call it now, versus Kings of War at some point. So I did that. Then I did something else.
Uh-oh.
That wasn't enough. You
I
bought
mean-
something from GW.
So
You're already on a payment plan. I mean,
you remember how he said that he had a good week?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I feel like I'm failing my historical friends. And since Jim is like our excellence on par of World War II and thereabouts, I went somewhere you should never, ever go.
The Warlord webpage.
hey, you know what? Oh no. Bye, Bill. I'm not sure who's taking over the channel now that
Well-
Bill has just disappeared down the endless black hole that is Napoleonics.
I was gonna say, we'll miss you.
I'm surprised.
So
you
yes,
didn't
I
get
bought
the
the.
wolf one.
We'll talk about this when we do Colors of War. Hence the title, Colors of War.
Next week will be, Bill Sitrep 6, a retrospective.
Yes.
Yeah, you notice
Oh.
Dawn's not around. She's working her second job to pay for Bill
No,
this last week.
I'm not going to brag, but I got a pretty decent raise, so we're good.
Wait, what?
We're good.
You get a raise? I got told
Did they
that.
mention?
Yeah. I got told that I should enjoy the fact that they keep me employed.
You did get a raise, Marty. They let you buy what, $6,000 in ammo?
Oh yeah, they did pay for my ammo. That order, by the way, that order dropped. I'm just waiting for it to come in. And seriously, it was $5,700.
When it comes to Napoleonics, it could be free. I mean, they can pay you to have the miniatures.
Oh, they'll do it too, just to suck in.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's still it's one of those. I don't know what the difference is. Like World War II is technically a larger subject,
Mhm.
but it's like you can somehow surface out of World War II easier than Napoleonics. Anyone I've known who's seriously gotten into Napoleonics, that's pretty much been their thing, like for at least a decade. I don't know what it is about that subgenre. It's kind of crazy. It's almost evil.
Right.
Something about Napoleonics.
Well, I like the colors. Yeah. Napoleonics is definitely, can take on its own world, obviously. But harking back to the days of when my dad and my uncle played war games on the basement floor, using lead minis, it was either American Civil War or Napoleonics. So, I remember sitting there watching my dad paint a whole bunch of those things. So I'm like, you know what? We do a lot of other stuff, and we've tried to expand our historical content. So it just popped up in my Amazon. Hey, look at this! I went, okay, bought it. And then they said, hey, how about Pike and Shot? And I'm like, oh no.
That's another whole era.
Yeah. I'm like, I got to finish something first. My pile of shame has grown immensely. I still have to finish all my Legion Imperialis stuff. I literally need to take a week off of work just to finish everything. So
you should have bought your wolf on Napoleonics.
So, but yeah, I'm excited to dig into those.
Pike and Shot, they weren't even using flintlocks yet. They were still using matchlocks mostly.
Yeah.
So the rate of fire is a lot lower than even for what we consider black powder.
Right.
And how that affects the game is a lot more movement compared to fire as far as that coefficient goes, and that means that there's going to be a hell of a lot more. Hence Pike, there's a lot more melee combat. Melee combat requires movement. If you can't, that's why people. I think the last recorded bayonet charge officially was the Scots Guards at the Falklands. There was actually, a fixed bayonet, and they caught some Argentinians in the back, and we're probably not going to see another one.
No kidding.
Again. Yeah, it's what's that?
Damon.
It's the law. What is this? What is this black magic of which you speak?
Yeah, right.
No, the only reason I mentioned Pike and Shot is because it came up as a, hey, you might be interested in this because it's in the epic scale. They have Warlord has the epic scale stuff, and it's Pike and Shot. So it's.
Are the Napoleonics in epic scale too?
They do have that too, but I'm like, you know what? I want some 28 mil because I'm like, I'm going to finish these guys and paint these guys. I have no place to put them. So what I did is let me share
He
the
bought a game
screen.
store.
That would be cool. That would be cool.
I'm just
I'm
planting the
not going to
seed.
lie.
Might take a while, but we'll get there.
Right.
Toughy Ears Pike and Shot is usually English Civil War, but not
I bought
always.
that.
Oh,
to the-
nice.
Oh, well, Jim knows all the words to that. I'm pretty sure he's in that same mode.
So I bought that to put our minis in.
Very nice.
Yeah.
That is cool.
Yeah. So, all right, let me stop sharing this. Boop.
Yeah, I
So-
showed my case and my dad. That
The one
my
your dad built,
actually-
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people were asking me on various platforms, where did you get that? I'm like, dude, my dad made it for me. He's like, oh, is it too late to be, retroactively like pre-adopted? That's
They calling dibs on it.
yeah. I don't need any brothers. Go away. Make your own damn case.
He's not
Well,
your
I
real
think
dad.
that's it for me this week. I think I've done enough damage.
You need an airbrush for all of that
Shit.
painting.
That's
that you need
probably
to
going to be on the next show.
Yeah, right.
Right? Tuffy Ear says there's a lot of fighting in Europe that's pike and shot too. Hey, I know nothing about it. It just
Yeah,
came up as a set. It looked
Pike
cool.
and-
I'm like, let me wait.
Pike and
So-
Shot is usually English Civil War, but you also got the 30 Years' War. You got the Spanish Wars of Succession. There's a fair amount. Actually, that's a little too late for that. There's definitely a few choices.
Was the War of Roses in that era? Or was that earlier?
Yeah.
Isn't that like knights against knights and all that stuff? Is that more?
It's where there's ancients, there's medievals. Well, actually, there's ancients, there's dark ages, then there's medievals, Middle Ages. Some people kind of blur those two together, and eventually that kind of blurs into the Renaissance.
Mhm.
It's pretty much where and when. I mean, firearms weren't invented overnight. They developed gradually. Technically, they were canon as far back as the 1200s, depending on what you read. But as far as like handheld firearms and when that affects the tactics on the field, and obviously trickle down how that affects your game mechanics.
Gotcha.
And where that, if there is no line, people can argue about where the line is. The reason you argue about it is because there is no line. It's like this phased, kind of an overlap area.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really whatever your group is into.
Okay.
But yeah, so 1600s is the 1600s is squarely in the middle of what people call pike and shot. When you get into like some of the wars, like right around Britain versus Spain, around the battle of the Spanish Armada.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Spanish Armada was a naval battle, obviously, but I mean, like the campaigns that were going on land at the same time. It's getting kind of not really. Pike and Shot is a little bit more medieval, and then like Tuffy Ear says, by the time you get further back into the War of Roses, I mean, I don't recall. I'm not an expert on War of Roses. I don't recall a whole lot of firearms in that. So there might have been like one or two wheel locks or matchlocks, dueling pistols or something. But yeah, that's pretty much like Tuffy Ear says, late medieval.
Gotcha.
And then
what about the Knights of Ni?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they're looking for shrubberies.
Shrubbery.
Did Pike and Shot do an update of their rules last summer? Does that sound right?
Like I said, I really know nothing about that rule set.
I was surfing around. And I saw a bunch of articles, oddly enough, about them from like last June, July.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I don't know if maybe they just re-released their book just to get more out there, or if there was a updated edition.
Not sure.
Yeah, Tuffy Ears. Edward the First. He's the for everyone the big bad guy in Braveheart. Show you how far back it goes. Technically had what we would call a cannon in his campaign in Wales in like the beginning part of the 1200s, like 1205, something like that. So cannons have been around forever. By the way, just real quick, I'm talking about the era of either pike and shot or push of pike, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know anything about that specific. Yeah, you guys are talking about a specific game system.
Yeah, game system called Pike
okay.
and Shot.
There's a rule set called
so there's Pike and Shot, the rule system, and then there's either Push of Pike or Pike and Shot, or whatever you want to call it. That's the general era of warfare that runs generally I'm being very general here, late 1500s to probably Yeah, because by the time you get to the late 1600s, you've got Charles XII versus Peter the Great. You've got Louis XIV versus Marlborough, Churchill's ancestor. I don't remember any real pike in that. That's going to be pretty much plug bayonet. That's about it. That's when you had literally a pistol, a musket. Usually, they were mostly up to actual flintlocks by then. And your bayonet wasn't even something that hooked on the end and then went over or under like a modern bayonet. It literally just stuck into the weapon, like right down the muzzle.
Yeah, this is the set here from Warlord Games.
Nice.
So it's like cleaning rods.
Basically.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just little epic things and set. Like, hey, you might like this.
So epic scale is epic scale is like 6mm. I can't.
Yeah, I think they say theirs is 8, if I'm not mistaken.
Honestly, that's the way I would go, because one thing about those battles is that they're big.
Yeah.
In order for push to pike tactics to work, you have to have these big pike blocks, and I'm sure a 28mm table on that scale would be impressive to look at. In fact, I'm sure it would be. But you're gonna have to have like a 12-foot table.
Yeah, I was gonna say it'll also fill up in my driveway.
Yeah.
Anywho, so there's that. So, go ahead, Mark or Jim.
Are you still talking about your catch up or whatever?
No, I'm done.
A little bit of news from down here. Nothing I've accomplished. All shout out goes to Jim Dundorf, Mark Ritchie, Ron Merriman. It looks like we have actually, against all odds, gotten our lease for another year at our club.
Mm-hmm.
So we will be. So that's. I've got like 3 episodes I can make with the stuff I have in the can, but we will be. There's a little bit of news down here, so that's where a lot of our content in 2023 came from. Was out of that club. Nice. So that's why I was always like, I'll make an episode now and then if I can. I wasn't sure if we were gonna have a club because I can't make this shit in my dining room anymore.
Right.
Not only is it a pain in the ass, but it doesn't look good because we don't have good lighting here. Every table looks like it's in the shadow of a mushroom cloud because the lighting is so, I'm like waiting for my guys to leave little shadows on the board because that's all that's left of them. So War of the Roses was 1455 to 87. That's a little too early for push to pike. If I'm not an expert, but I don't remember too many firearms. Light artillery or early artillery, I should say, certainly. But getting back on topic super quick. The club is more or less back on.
Mm-hmm.
And next week we're doing some World War I. We might even try. You have something going next week, Bill, or is that the week after? For
crap! I forgot what week it is.
Rorke's Drift. I think that's 2 weeks from now.
Is that next weekend?
It's the 27th of January, right?
Let me look.
Oh.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
No, it's January 22 to January 23. So it technically would be next weekend.
Okay.
Cool. Why, did you have something you want to throw out for next week?
People are asking me about the possible, because one of the upgrades we've done to the club is we're setting up some Wi-Fi in there.
Okay.
And if we can Wi-Fi, we might be able to live stream. I mean, we won't live stream the entire game because we've talked about running whole battles in live stream. But they're getting interested in live streaming from that.
If you want to do a live stream or whatever next weekend, please do so, and I'll just do the content for Rorke's Drift the following weekend. That gives me time to edit it out.
I honestly don't know if they even have it, so let's keep the schedule as it is.
All right.
And for next week, I'll just record.
Okay.
And
cool.
For those of us, or for those of you who are watching on social media or listening on our channels, welcome to our production meeting.
Yeah, sorry.
That's all good. That's what we do.
It's our backstage edition.
I mean, yeah. There you go.
All right, Marty.
Yes.
It's I think it's that time, sir.
I don't think it is. I haven't heard anything.
You haven't heard anything.
I don't hear anything.
Let's in on the scuttlebutt. Bring on the awesomeness that is wargaming.
Yes. All right. Now it's time.
What happened to the sexy British chick? I liked her.
Oh, that's only for you.
Oh, sweet. All right.
uh,
Even better. Even better.
So when you're ready to give us an in-depth info, let me know and I will bring her on for you, sir. All right, Marty.
All right, so first item that I have is something out of Blacksite Studios.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of talked about this the other night. Blacksite Studios, friend of the channel. We remember just back when it was, those guys working out of their garage and whatnot.
Yep.
They have kind of become a little bit of a juggernaut, developing not just really good MDF terrain, but game development. They've got their own miniatures, whatnot. So they've got a new game coming out called Breacher.
Right.
So it's a modern combat game, near future. Basically, it's PMCs versus the world, taking care of business in places where maybe you can't, a nation state can't, officially be, or rich people are contracting them to, take care of their light work, political opponents, that type of
Mm-hmm.
stuff, whatever. So that is coming out here shortly,
Nice.
and they one of the things that they said is that you can easily adapt this into like a futuristic cyberpunk if that's your thing as well. I don't think it's necessarily written that way from what I can tell, but if that's your jam, you can do that with it as well.
Okay.
So
very nice.
Check that out if that seems interesting. Just go to blacksitestudio.com and you'll see the ad for Breacher there.
Very nice. All right. You ready to move on to your next one, sir?
Yep. Next up, this is from Spectre Miniatures, and we kind of mentioned this the other night as well. But this is what they sent out in their newsletter.
Hold on a minute. I'm missing it.
Oh no.
Go ahead. Just go ahead and talk about it. I don't know where it's at now, but go ahead.
All right. So they sent out a newsletter about a week ago Friday, and they're talking about their plans for 2024, and they seem pretty ambitious. They said 2023 has been a great year for them. It's the most successful year in the company's history.
Mm-hmm.
2024 will be their 10-year anniversary.
Wow.
Of launch of the company. So, they've got some big plans. As they say, they don't want to lay out a concrete plan because we don't know how that goes. But this is what they expect to do. On the miniature side of the house, they are looking to do at least one release every month. Nice. So it could be one or more sets of infantry, vehicles, or scenery. And going forward, they're going to be producing miniatures in resin as well.
Okay.
With some printed single miniatures.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of the more interesting things to me was on the rules side of the house. They said that they expect to have a rules release every quarter, which will be PDF. So that is two things going on there that are interesting. One, that's a lot of rules releases, and two, traditionally they have been opposed to PDF releases, and trying to hang on to their proprietary information. Totally get that. But apparently they've decided this is the way to go. So it said it could vary from new force builders, scenario packs, additional rules content. On top of that, they expect to have printed rules releases about twice a year. And those will be supplements with new forces, campaigns, or significant rules materials. So, hey, awesome.
Yeah.
Lots of stuff going on there. Also, if you are a Spectre Operations player, they uploaded a errata. So that way, if you're playing the new game, folks have said, I've found some stuff, so their FAQ and errata have been updated, and you can check that out. And speaking of Blacksite Studios, they are partnered with Spectre Operations. So Blacksite is the U.S. distributor for Spectre. Spectre is the U.K. distributor for Blacksite. So regardless of which side of the pond you're on, if you go to one of those two companies, you can find pretty much all their stuff.
Very nice.
Yeah. So our our best to the fine folks over at Spectre. It's great to see them, particularly coming out of the pandemic. I wasn't sure if they were going to make it, so
Right.
glad to see them being successful and running with it.
There you go. All right. Next.
All right, moving on. Warlord. So Warlord does their little Soldier of Fortune, their monthly thing. So this year or this month's Soldier of Fortune number 6.
I thought I recognized that guy.
Yeah.
From The Longest Day. It's that goofy sergeant.
Yep. That's who it is. Exactly.
Oh, is that our boy? The what does he call him? There he is, the prime example of the master race. That's his, that poor mule has to carry his fat ass down to the beach hunters.
Yep. That's our guy, mounted on his faithful steed, as it says.
Faithful steed, his long-suffering steed.
Good
boy,
good times. I just, this is one of the things that that Warlord does. I just kind of get a kick out of who they decide to highlight each month. So I just thought I would share this.
Next week it might be the Frenchman in his pajamas and his suffering wife.
Well, we'll find out.
Trying to pull his ass back into the window as
when the guns are going off.
Battleship shells are lasering.
We'll find out in February. Could be. We'll find out in February.
All right. That's an interesting choice for their pick, I have to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that you're using this dude in gameplay, but he's a cool little dude.
Yeah.
And the Soldier of Fortune, these are all, I don't know, limited edition. It's available for that month, and that's it.
Yeah.
So not
if you're a World War II collector and you have a soft spot for The Longest Day, I could definitely see picking this up as just a display piece. I mean, hell, you could put it in your game.
2 points. Number one, you absolutely, because troops like that are big. There's a lot more of them than a lot. I mean, we were all in the military, obviously, and you're not always up against frontline guys, especially if you're any kind of spec ops or like British commandos. They're usually up against guys like this. They're not fighting, first SS Leibstandarte. They're fighting guys like this, trying to run to the anti-aircraft guns or something as the commandos jump out of the water. And so I mean, like in Panzerleader, like those little security platoons you get, that's what they're doing. Like that's why they have lower values than the frontline troops, because it's a guy and maybe 2 of them out of every 3, 2 of them have an MP40. The third guy has a pistol. Maybe one guy has nothing. He's got coffee cups or a mule or something like that.
I want that guy. Does he have a coffee pot as well?
Yep. Good point, Damon. That's an excellent point.
And like around artillery crews and stuff like that. Anything that's behind the lines or even on the flanks, they're like probably 2 out of 3 soldiers in any army probably look more like that than some heroic, guy sitting in a trench somewhere. And just as an aside, Longest Day is still the best D-Day movie. I do say that with Saving Private Ryan on the table.
That's right. Announces that with authority.
It is.
Shall I say John Wayne? 82nd Airborne.
Yeah, I mean, it's not his fault he was 20 years too old for the
I know. Everybody's got to go down that road.
Well, I mean, and he's like basically playing John Wayne. He's not even playing the character.
Yeah.
20 years too old. But to his credit, he was also like a foot too tall. The real Vandervoort was like not a big guy. I think he was like 5'4" or something. He was a relatively small person. Not 5'4", but he wasn't tall like John Wayne.
He was the minimum that you had to be in the army at the time.
Yeah, well, he was 5'9" when he started, but after 6 or 7 jumps.
All right, moving along.
My spinal cord is an accordion. What happened?
Right. All right, and then a couple of final items regarding upcoming conventions. So Adepticon coming up March 20th through the 24th. Registration
and the crew will be there.
Yes, we are. We, myself, Chris, Bill, Dawn will be there. Jim, you're always welcome. You're invited up. I know you told us to go pound sand already, but
I didn't say it like that.
He's like, no, I'm not going.
He politely declined.
No. No, I don't wanna do it.
as we've previously explored, sometimes I'm communicating on 2 wavelengths.
Yeah,
And,
it's
you
cool,
know.
man. But yeah, we plan on
No,
being there,
I
having
kid.
a setup somewhere so we can live stream each day. We'll do show wrap ups. We'll do some, you know, Dawn and I are actually going to be at the GW preview night on Wednesday night, I believe it is. I've actually reached out to Warren at On Tabletop to see if they want us to do some coverage for them as well. So,
Oh, nice.
we'll
There's a
see.
blast from the past.
All right.
Right.
I mean, you got to remember, Adepticon was how we got started in this whole mess. Literally. For those who don't know the story, so way back 2013, it might have been 10 years ago now. I was talking to Warren. I wrote an article about, of all things, the bolt action rule book. And, you know, we started talking. I said, we're going to go to this show called Adepticon. I knew nothing about it at the time. He goes, oh, you are? Would you like to cover it for us? I'm like, sure, you know, whatever. So that's when I said, hey, Dawn, guess what we're doing? And she's like, what? We're going to cover Adepticon for Beast of War at the, you know, as they were known at the time. She goes, what's Adepticon and what are you talking about? So I had explained. She goes, what's miniature wargaming? So,
well,
10 years later.
Years later. So it's in
Warren, the classic British guy gets the colonials to do the fighting for him.
So yeah, that's how we started down this road. But yeah, we'll be there and covering things and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you are into miniature wargaming, Adepticon is the show for you in the United States. It is all well, I can't say that anymore because they now do board games and stuff. They're actually having board game championships or something like that.
Yep.
But 99% of it is all miniature wargaming.
Yeah.
And of that miniature wargaming, about 50% of it's going to be GW stuff, mostly 40K. There'll be Age of Sigmar.
Yep.
I think there's some Lord of the Rings as well.
Yep. There's some Kill
Legion
Team.
Imperialis, you know, all the scope. And then another part of it, you have usually big tournaments for like X-Wing, you know, a lot of those games. So
the Star Wars Shatterpoint.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah. So
Adepticon kids.
So
get it while you can.
Yeah. And they have a new 2-tier badge system.
Yeah.
So in the past, they've had 3 tiers where you've got your regular badge that, you know, gets you in. You had a premium badge that you got a swag bag with. And then you had the VIG badge where you literally needed a wagon to haul all your swag around.
Right.
Because it was a ton of stuff. So they've gotten rid of VIG and premium and kind of Frankenstein them together.
Mm-hmm.
So now, and they call it advanced. So now you can get your regular badge, and that's $55, and that gets you in for the whole show. Or you, for $1.25, you can go and get the advanced badge. The nice thing is, there's more badges now, more advanced badges. So there's 2,000.
I still think they're all gone.
Are they gone now?
Oh,
I mean, they're still a limited number, but there was.
I'm sure that they're probably gone by now.
They were gone that day.
Were they? Because when we bought ours, there was actually quite a few left. I was surprised that there was that many left, but
there was only
probably gone by
700
now.
left when I did my registration, and that was I
Over
don't know, 7 minutes after it opened.
Yeah, but it's a great show. They have a lot of great workshops, seminars. They actually going to have a content creator meetup, I think, on Wednesday night. We did not participate in that just because, one, we're still relatively small. While Dawn and I would know quite a few people, I just didn't want to be standing around going, "Oh, who are you? We're Sit Rep. Oh, okay," and they move on. You know, so we've. I don't like that kind of pressure. You know, we'll just let's do our thing. Just let's do our thing. We might do a meetup if we had enough people we knew that were coming. We might, you know, hey, there's a place we can meet up at and have a few pints and whatnot. But
so everyone wears the same shirt and you have some merch on hand and you have like even cards you can hand out.
Right. So
that way, even though you're super small, someone comes up to you and says, "Who are you?" They're like, it's almost like you're presenting yourself bigger than you are. Like, of course we're a huge thing. We have our own merch. Here's a professional looking business card. Where the fuck have you been? You know.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's fake it till you make it, kind of a thing.
Exactly.
And on the so the historical stuff is all over in the Hyatt.
Yep.
You know, so you've got more space there. There are places where we could do a meetup right there. If we wanted to have a cocktail, you can go to the hotel bar, which is cheaper and better than the one over at the Renaissance,
Yeah.
where the main show is. And two, they've got the what is that, City Works
Yeah.
adjacent to them.
Yeah.
And they've got a bunch of craft beer in there. It's pretty good
Oh,
selection.
and even better, the parking.
Yeah, there's a place to
You
park
can
over there.
can actually park within inside of the building.
Nice.
You know,
Cool.
and speaking of the Hyatt, so they've got 118 events scheduled over there this year.
Yeah.
So
And
I
this
think
year's
that's where
gonna
we're
have the-
staying. I
Yeah,
think we're
there's-
staying at
yeah.
the Hyatt.
yeah, there's plenty of stuff going on there. Our friends over at Lead Pursuit are even doing a
class.
hobby painting class there. So
Mhm.
painting aircraft and the vehicles and whatnot. So that's exciting that they're starting to get hobby stuff on the historical side, and they're doing it right there with the historical folks.
Nice.
And then there's also 224 other hobby seminars that are
Yeah.
scattered around.
Just
So
about everything. So there was a couple I was thinking about going to, but I'm like, no, this year I want to get back into and really hone our skills, and then look at probably next year. I'll be honest with you, there wasn't too many artists that I really interested in doing. There was only a couple, but that's fine. It's no big deal. There'll be plenty to do. All right, what's next, Marty?
And then Gen Con is coming up. So badges for Gen Con 2024 go on sale in about a month, Sunday, February 11th at noon Eastern time, gencom.com. Same deal as always. Continue to offer thousands of ticketed in-person events. They sold out their exhibit hall again, so that will be packed. They're doing an outdoor block party. They've got a beer garden and food truck and live entertainment, all that jazz going on. And they are doing something special. I don't know exactly what it is, but 50th anniversary Dungeons and Dragons in 24.
Oh,
So-
that's always a good time. That is
So-
always a good time.
I was gonna say I'm betting that'll be pretty lit. There's gonna be a bunch of stuff going on. And then
no, it's always a good time.
and Gen Con itself runs August 1st through the 4th at the Indiana Convention Center. So
Yeah.
same location, Lucas Oil Stadium.
Yeah,
all the
no, it's
surrounding
always a
hotels.
very good time. We were there. I want to say the first year we covered Gen Con, they had a huge D&D celebration. So they do it right there.
Yeah, and I bet for the 50th anniversary, they're gonna pull out all the stops.
Yeah. All right.
Hey, have you guys heard of Gary Con up in Lake Geneva?
Gary Con? Yeah, it's
Gary
all
Con?
yeah. Tom Tullis, one of our friends who owns Fat Dragon Games. Is it Fat Dragon Games or Fat Dragon Terrain? Anyways, he's the one that does a lot of the terrain and stuff. He's a big participant in that. So
Nice. And did I also see that Historicon tickets have dropped?
I haven't even looked at Historicon yet.
I didn't see anything on it. Doesn't mean it hasn't happened, but I did not notice it.
I mean, it's very possible they've dropped it, but I couldn't tell you. I haven't looked. All right. Okay. Is that it, Marty, for the news?
That is all I've got. And, unless you guys got something you want
before we close out the news? First thing, guys, I'd like to share with you, if you're not aware.
I do have one alibi.
Go ahead.
So you were talking about getting new paints from you've got the Pro Krill line. For those of you that might be interested, Army Painter Fanatic sets are coming out. Those are going to be dropping soon. Check them out. Instead of just regular triads, they've actually got them in groups of 6 now.
Yeah.
And they seem to be pretty well received.
Yeah.
So take a look at them. It looks like they've got really highly pigmented paints that they've really have solved the issue where, a lot of times people would bitch about the paint separates from the medium. Looks like that is a thing of the past.
Well, we'll see.
So
I'll
yeah,
reserve my thoughts until I buy a couple bottles and give it a test.
exactly. But
I went all in on Army Painter. I had their whatever it was, their mega
Mega
set or
set.
what, they had every color they offered, and they didn't mix very well.
like I
It was hard. I mean, I'll go open minded, but I just invested quite a bit into this Pro Acryl, and I hear the stuff is amazing, and it's worth the money. So hopefully it's true because I've never
yeah.
used it, but
Well,
yeah,
I think personally, I think you'll be very satisfied with Pro Acryl. I love their product
okay,
that I use.
okay,
Uh, but the Army Painter paints, uh, I think they finally fixed all the crap that they've gotten over the years with their paint line. They've seemed to have invested a lot of time. They've got a lot of high-powered dudes on the paint team, so to speak, that actually
uh-huh,
help develop it. So Goober Tom Hobbies is there. The Uncle Adam is there. Sam
okay,
Lenz is there. I mean,
yeah,
there's some very respectable painters, and I
oh
I
yeah,
like to think that they're not just straight up shills. So
right,
hopefully this is a good deal. You know, I'm not telling anyone to go out buy all 266 or whatever it is. They got a crap ton of colors,
yeah,
whatever that is. But if you're in the market for getting some paints, take a look at them, watch some of the reviews. Like I said, they've been pretty well received, and I think that they might be onto something. Particularly, I like the way that instead of the triad, they've got these kind of groups of 6, and right on the bottle, it'll tell you which one it is.
yeah,
And where it falls, so you can see what's to the left or right if you need to go up or down. If you're using it as a base and you want something to highlight with, or if you want something to create a little darker shadow.
mm-hmm,
That information is right there.
nice,
I also like their naming convention, so they'll have the name of the paint, and that could be, Dragon Purple or whatever it is. I'm just making up paint
mm-hmm,
names, but then along the side of it, it will tell you dark blue, purple,
there you go,
so you can tell what it is. By the way, as the guy that has red green color vision, I'm partially colorblind. Having that color description is a big deal to
yeah,
me
right,
Yeah.
because sometimes I'm not so good at figuring it out. Not gonna
there you
lie.
go, all
Now,
right,
I want to throw in there while
mm-hmm,
we're talking about it. Adepticon, if you are in the area, stop by Fort Wapple, is it,
mm-hmm,
Marty?
Yep.
And you will have an opportunity to try a lot of the different paints that are out there.
there you
Oh
go,
yeah. So Fort Wapple has basically all the different brands. So you can do Citadel, Procurl, Chimera. I mean, you name it. They have racks of everything over there. They're not door prizes. You don't get to take them with, but you can go over there and they have paint stations set up. You can grab some stuff off the rack, paint it up, and who knows? You may end up sitting next to some of your favorite YouTube painters as well, because a lot of those guys end up over there for a while.
Yeah.
there you go.
So try it out there.
All right. So I
Yeah.
just wanted to give a shout out to our merch supply room, the SitRep podcast supply room, where you can get some really cool looking merch from coffee mugs, t-shirts, tumblers, the classic long story short pint glass,
Still do the shot glass.
steel tumblers. I don't know why I don't have this, but I'm going to be updating this soon with some new sweatshirts and other products. So be on the lookout for that. And then lastly,
There
Are you
go.
going to have
There's
other
your
realms
shot
there
glass.
as well?
yes, probably. I wanted to give a shout out to Flying Pig Games. They have a new game coming out called, well, it's
I
not
saw
old
that.
school tactical, but that is one of them. But they have, where did it go? So they're classic, hex and counter games. Modern War Armageddon
That looks interesting. I'm actually was looking at that on Facebook.
on Armageddon, and you can print and play it.
War. Yeah.
So if you go to, I think it's Wargames Vault, you can actually print and play this game, and it's platoon level, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's platoon level, like right now and / near future
Yeah.
kind of game. I don't know how many. Of course, you can always kind of make up your own, but I'm not sure what. How many different areas are available yet? But
Mhm.
I just ran across that on Facebook and it looked pretty interesting.
Yeah, it caught my eye. And then
almost like a Twilight 2000 war game kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Like it's finally happened. All right, now what? As far as, but from a wargaming perspective, rather than a, which we did that once. We did Panzer Leader Twilight 2000 once. That was a relatively popular stream. I got the shit kicked out of me, but that was kind of the point. If you guys know how Twilight 2000, Tough Ears will tell you how Twilight 2000 actually starts in the setting.
Yeah,
you tend to start off in a rather bad way.
So there's a lot of interesting stuff from this company. So if you're looking for, and they actually, you can get the Vassal mods for free. So you can play it if you have Vassal, however you pronounce it. You know, if you want to play it virtually, they have the mods. Pretty much every game of theirs. You still have to have the rules and stuff, but they like, here's the living rules PDF, so you can pretty much play the game virtually. So I thought that was pretty cool. I wanted to. I saw it, came across that just like you did over Facebook. So I thought I would, mention that as a news bite. All right, let me close out some of these pages. I can close out that. I can close out that. All right, let's talk about Color of War. Before 1900, essentially, there were armies still wearing brightly colored uniforms. British still had their reds, and navies and blacks, depending on what force you were with. Like you had the 24th Foot in Islandwana and York's Drift in South Africa were still wearing red. I think in other campaigns they were wearing red. The naval forces, I think, were dark blue, if I'm not mistaken.
Artillery was usually a dark blue. The answer is red, says Damon. Yeah, and the 24th. The 24th was also wearing red when they surrendered to the Americans at Saratoga. Just a quick footnote. Sorry.
Oh, there's that. Poor 24th Foot.
They were with Burgoyne's army. Yeah.
Yep. You had the Americans in the American Civil War. We were wearing, Union blue or grays, which is a little more muted. Then you get, further back, you get into the Napoleonics. You had every color in the rainbow essentially as a uniform option. If you ever pick up, there's a couple books on Napoleonic uniforms, and it's amazing the myriad of colors. Oh, dang. But and I was wondering why they had these uniform color choices and big giant flags and things like that. I think I figured out, and Jim, correct me if I'm wrong. This is my hypothesis.
I was going to say there is a reason for it, but go ahead.
When you had your commanding generals sitting on a hill overlooking the battlefield, they wanted to be able to tell what unit was what. And since they didn't have radios and stuff, you had to look at their banners and the colors of their uniforms. That's my opinion, or my thought.
That's actually pretty accurate. Yeah, I mean, there was an actual tactical reason why. Well, number one, those unit standards, usually had like the regimental colors, and the regimental colors, and then you had, of course, either the national colors or the king's colors or whatever. And yeah, the drums and the fife. They weren't just out there to make noise. I mean, that was how the army communicated with each other.
Yeah.
The little bugle calls and even the different tattoos that they would play on the drums, those are tactical commands you had to memorize. Oh, this means retreat. This means wheel left. This means wheel right. Because there's no way anybody could yell, that loud over that much noise going on. And yeah, the colors, helped you identify, friend from foe. It was supposed to reduce, friendly fire and fratricide. It's pretty tough to accidentally shoot at the guys in the bright red coats when you're fighting guys in, dark green coats or whatever. You can usually tell, even through a lot of musket smoke. So yeah, it helps with battlefield control. And yeah, it's a time when command and control was nowhere near what it is now.
Yeah. So that led me to
And conversely, the weapons weren't considered lethal enough. In fact, they really weren't, not till the Civil War or the Crimean War. post Industrial Revolution weapons, so 1850s forward. They started to tote, like you mentioned, the American Civil War got a little bit more muted. Yeah, it started to get a little like maybe we shouldn't wear bright red coats with white crosses, right
Aim
across,
here.
literally give the enemy a aiming point. Because the weapons weren't considered deadly enough or long range enough to where that kind of thing would make a difference. Nowadays, in fact, I've run across this on Mick and Payne's leader counters. Everyone looks the same.
Yeah.
If you actually put like that new ACU camouflage that the Army's using, you put what the Russians are wearing, the Chinese are wearing, and you're trying to like put those patterns on your Payne's leader counters. You have to make the counter background different because there's no way to tell them apart.
Yeah. Yeah, they're very similar.
Everyone's got to hide. Everyone, camouflage is a thing. That wasn't the case back in the day.
Yeah. So, not only that, but I'm looking at these. And I'm like, wow, I can actually use colors other than brown, black, beige, and greens.
Yep.
So and I think from a game,
you can use the rest of that mega set.
Yeah, the others, 100 and something colors. But it looks so good on a table when you have these rows of British guys in their red coats, and you have the French in their blues and grays. It looks visually appealing. I mean,
it's very impressive to be able to see that because, like, you remember the game of Ultramodern Combat that we did?
Yeah.
So I had 4 dudes in a house. Well, I had 2 dudes in the trees in front of the house.
You couldn't find them.
They didn't. Yeah, they didn't. Yeah, they didn't even know I had those 2 dudes there until I moved them. And of course I did not move them until after they engaged. And then
that's bad enough. I've had games where I've forgotten my own guys. Yeah, we're literally taking the table down, and we moved some trees. I'm like, oh shit, I had another fire team in here. That might have helped 5 minutes ago.
I mean, it turns out camouflage works.
Yeah, right. A little too good.
So you guys are mentioning how impressive it looks. That brings up another thing. This might not be so much Napoleonics, although a little, but you can go further and further back. Even in the Napoleonics, you had like some of the Guards regiments were still wearing I know definitely the American Revolution still wearing those big bearskin hats. It's meant to be visually impressive because back then intimidation was thought to be a pretty decent. Armageddon War, DW 118. We were being brightly colored is like, I don't care if you can see me or not, we're coming straight for you. And see these bayonets, they're about to be in your intestines.
Yeah, the whole point was to be seen.
Yeah, it was to be intimidating. And this goes, like the big crest the Spartans used to wear and stuff like that. They would actually shake them around on their head, and it was supposed to be scary. And so a lot of times it worked.
Yeah.
So back then, looking physically scarier. Nowadays, that doesn't mean anything because you're a little black dot off of the front, the fuzzy tip of my front side post, from 550 meters away, and you're done. I don't care what you look like. But back in the day, it would make a difference.
You're down before you hear the bullet.
Or you're just the area where I'm calling the airstrike.
There you go.
Or artillery.
You're a grid reference on a map that used to exist.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Now we're going to turn it into a glass parking lot.
So, I thought bring some color to the battlefield. And, there is the giant rabbit hole that is Napoleonics because...
We'll miss you, Bill.
Well, like I said, Jim's got WW2 pretty much covered, man.
And I don't know what it is about World War II. World War II is a bigger ocean, but you can, for some reason, players can dip in and dip out. Maybe because there's different regions in Napoleonics too. I don't know. Yeah. But Napoleonic just seems to be like this singularity at the center of the galaxy. And it's like once you slip in, everyone else just kind of sees you go, bye.
Yeah. And you know what? And the funny thing is, what you say is very true, but it doesn't apply to like American Civil War.
Oh, American Civil War is a much smaller pond.
Yeah.
The battles are smaller. It's all on one continent. The troops look there are variations in American Civil War uniforms, but not
Mhm.
nearly as much as you see in Napoleonics.
Yeah.
All right, so here's a question for our UK friends talking about the American Civil War. Do you guys like playing it because it's just Americans killing Americans? You're like, haha, it serves you right. You don't care who wins. Just throwing it out there.
British playing Americans in the Civil War is like Americans playing the Eastern Front in World War II. It's no matter who gets wiped out, it's you have a good feeling.
I hear, but I hear a lot about our friends over in the UK that do play it, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I wonder what the draw really is.
Commodore Rob, especially when you get into the
he hears like,
pretty much more. Yeah. Commodore Rob, an old friend from the UK and on tabletop. When he gets into the riverine warfare, up and down the Mississippi, the Cumberlands, and all that stuff like that, he knows his shit. I'm embarrassed to say he knows more than I do, and it's my fucking war. And how does this get? So it's I should know more than he does, but I don't, because it's one of his things, especially that little part of it.
Yeah. So, to our people out there watching and listening, what is your favorite pre 20th century army, battles era? Because, like I said, I just something about Napoleonics and the color and the pageantry of it, and it sounds stupid because it's still war and people die and get hurt and all that stuff. It's still war.
There's still
It
plenty
just
of red.
seems different,
Yeah.
In a way. Has anybody seen the new Napoleon movie? Just asking, is it worth
People
watching?
People who know a lot more about Napoleonics than I do have told me to stay the hell away from it.
Okay.
It's very the tactics are completely wrong. It's very bad.
Okay.
But in all honesty, I haven't seen it myself.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I thought I'd give, because we theoretically are pretty underrepresented when it comes to Napoleonics. We've done some Civil War stuff. I did that video on the Fort Donelson, the battle there. I plan on doing another one about Shiloh this summer. I want to go to Shiloh and a couple of the other battlefields around Tennessee. So, yeah. Pre-20th century is Napoleonic naval small unit actions like Great Lakes Campaign. What was the
Nice.
Great Lakes Campaign? Was that
I believe
Revolutionary War?
I believe he's talking about 1812.
Oh, 1812.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean,
So-
you've got some Great Lake battles in the American Revolution. I mean, only a couple. My personal favorite is Valcour Island. 10 October 1776.
Yeah. That's awesome.
That's a fun battle from a what's the word? From a hobbyist perspective,
Mhm.
because Lake Champlain goes right up the. I mean, you guys probably, if you ever traveled up there, it goes right up the center of New York, and it doesn't really open up into any big rivers, or it doesn't open up to the ocean at all. So you got the Americans at the south end. Benedict Arnold. This is in again the summer of '76. So Washington's getting absolutely tooled down there, all up and down New York. He's getting the shit kicked out of him. Probably the greatest string of defeats the American army has ever suffered. It's just horrendous. So meanwhile, this guy Carleton is trying to invade out of Canada. So there's the St. Lawrence River, and then a bunch of mountains, and then the northern tip of Lake Champlain is a place called, I think, St. John. Well, it's St. John in English. It's in French, so who knows what the hell, Jean, or whatever the hell. Anyway, but how is he going to get his navy there? So they had like a flotilla. The flagship was a frigate, HMS Inflexible,
Mhm.
and then 20 other schooners, gunboats, stuff like that. Numbered every plank in their entire fleet, took the whole friggin' thing apart, loaded it up onto like horse carts and stuff like that, dragged it 100 miles south. There wasn't even a road
Wow.
between the St. Lawrence River and the northern tip of Lake Champlain. got to the northern end of Lake Champlain at St. John and literally had to put everything back together. They literally had to one-to-one hobby kit their whole fleet back together. Meanwhile, at the southern end of the lake, Benedict Arnold's little navy starts with, that tree looks pretty straight, chop that one down. And with 1776 tools, he didn't have skill saws, chainsaws, anything like that. He's literally got a planer, and he's got to make every plank. And it took him the whole summer of 76, and then finally in October, those two navies tangled up, and pretty much shot the shit out of each other I would love to be able to properly do Valcour Island sometime. So Lake Champlain comes down, and then there's this tiny little island near the side of the lake. So Arnold moves his rebel navy up into that little hollow because it's super shallow, it's super narrow. He's hoping some of the bigger British ships won't be able to come at him, at least not all at once. And now as the British pass him heading south, they see him like hiding behind this little island. They turn around, and now the one flaw in Benedict Arnold's strategy is that now he's trapped.
Mm-hmm.
And they have this big shootout. What makes it neat is that it's super narrow. The whole channel is only maybe 300 yards wide, maybe 300 feet wide. And then up comes on the side, like it's in these steep Green Mountains on the Vermont side, and Adirondacks on the New York side. So there's like steep mountains and tall trees. You have Native Americans up in the trees sniping at guys in the rigging of the ships, who are in turn trying to snipe British and Hessians on the gunboat decks. It's an insane little battle. Not terribly big, like 40 ships, and a lot of these ships are like gunboats. So basically, like the big flatboats on the side of those old wooden sailing ships, the Hessians will put a big 18-pounder right on the front, and that's a ship in their navy. So it's a small battle, but definitely crazy.
Huh.
It's a very interesting little naval battle, and it's the first battle where you have a USS Enterprise. It was a stolen schooner from the British, and slapped a new name on it, and
What?
we've had a USS Enterprise almost ever since in our Navy. We've had like 9 ships. We've got a new one coming up. I think they're scheduled to commission her in 2025. Finally, we haven't had a USS Enterprise since CVN 65. That's the one you see in the first Top Gun movie. Is USS Enterprise. CVN 75, and now she's going to be the 3rd ship in the new Gerald Ford class. So
awesome. Yeah, that's going to be pretty cool. So, I am trying to work a little magic behind the scenes for a special video to happen this summer. I've reached out to some friends of mine back up in Chicago, Wisconsin, Michigan area to see if I can get with them to dive in Lake Michigan on some of the World War II aircraft that are sitting on the bottom from the old aircraft carrier training. That's where we pulled up a couple, like the is it an F4? I can't remember which one. Is it a Hellcat that's sitting in O'Hare Airport? The one that's been repurposed.
Hellcat is an F6F. Corsair is a F4U.
So there are multiple aircraft sitting on the bottom of Lake Michigan from the carrier training. So I'm trying to get with them because they know the guys that have the coordinates, because it's pretty tightly held secret of where they are, so we can go dive on some of these aircraft.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, some of them are at the limit of sport diving, and it's freaking cold. It's Lake Michigan. You're at 130 plus feet. So we'll see. We'll see if it pans out, but I'm trying to get that because I think that would be a great video to show.
These are the people who didn't graduate, I assume, the carrier training. Their planes are now at the bottom of the lake.
Hey, we needed a lot of pilots back then. So if they survived, they probably got another go at it.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, if you know the history of the Great Lakes carriers, they were old side wheel paddle wheel steamers where they chopped off that superstructure and built a flight deck on it. And the thing with these is you practice your landings and takeoffs on them, but they weren't actual aircraft carriers where you could store planes. So you had to leave. Once you landed, you landed and you took off again. And because you had to go back to Glenview. That's where the training was out of. It was Glenview, Illinois. We had a naval air station there for many years until probably the 90s, right, Chris? I think.
No, I think it was after 2000.
Was it after 2000? But it's no longer there. I think it's a mall or shopping center or
Yeah,
whatever.
well, it's a whole bunch
So-
of things because it was
well,
a large area.
Yeah.
Well, they've got the actual tower
Still exists.
is part of they call it Glenview Town Center. So it's a shopping district. Some of the base operations buildings are now called NIPSTA, Northern Illinois Police Training Association or something like that. It's a conglomeration of police departments. They do police and fire training up there.
Yeah.
So it's yeah, the base itself has been gone for like 20 years.
A lot of good memories from that place. A lot of good memories.
And
My
before
first
anyone
funeral was
asks,
there.
in the comments, you can't just have, like for carrier training, the carriers, well, the Essex class was 800 feet, but a lot of the ships were smaller than that. For carrier training, you can't just have like a short runway on land and say land on that. Like, why
Right.
build a ship
Not
just
the
for
same.
that? Yeah,
Not
the ship is moving. It's pitching up and down.
Yep.
Wind behaves very differently over water than it does over land. And you have to land in that kind of wind. Yeah, so the ship has to be moving.
Yeah.
Also, that's why we even had this in our Midway 75th anniversary game or 80th anniversary game. Is the carrier has to be turned into the wind
to take off? Yeah.
Yeah, to take off or recover. Yeah,
Yep.
you
need that lift.
You're always you need that extra airspeed over the runway or over the flight deck, I should say.
And people ask why the Great Lakes and not the ocean, because they wanted to be hidden from the Japanese and Germans. Because you got to remember, the Germans patrolled the East Coast pretty frequently.
Shit, yes.
Yeah.
You guys talk about diving. I mean, you guys know
North Carolina, baby.
There is a belt of iron.
Yeah.
From Nova Scotia all the way down to Key West and back again of just wrecked ships.
If you want to see some.
America first jumps in the war, and the British are like, okay, look, there are these things called U-boats. First of all, thank you finally for showing up. Now, secondly, even though you've been financing our war for the last 2 years already, and we'd already have lost if you weren't already paying all the fucking paychecks, but never mind. Now that you're actually in the shooting part of the war and not just signing checks, there's these things called U-boats. Now, we've had some success with them. There's these things called convoys. The Americans are like, hold my beer. We're not even going to turn off the lights of our coastal cities. So, Miami was lit up. Savannah was lit up. All the North Carolina, New York was lit up. And these poor merchant ships, oilers, tankers, troop ships, are just perfectly silhouetted against these night lights. And the Germans literally called it the happy time. Because they couldn't stand it. Every time they're about ready to loose a torpedo, they got to open up this book and find the silhouette of the ship and make sure it wasn't American. And now it's just like, oh, for fuck's sake, enough of this. We know they're already in the war. They're already sending over, this river of metal and men and oil and food and everything else over here. We're not allowed to shoot at them. It was very frustrating for the German U-boat commanders. And then when Germany finally declared war on the United States, the entire German military kind of shit a chicken. You declared war on who? The Americans? Are you crazy? Except the German U-boat commanders, whose response was more like, finally, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And send more torpedoes.
Oh my God. Yeah, it was like that was the only limit. The Americans weren't escorting shit. They weren't shutting down their coastal cities. And even nowadays, if wrecks of World War II, there's like half of them are right within like 5 miles of the American coast. Yep. So the idea that America, especially German, but also some it was the only time America was actually fired on in World War II. A Japanese submarine surfaced somewhere off the coast of Washington State, I think. Maybe it was Northern California. And this little deck gun shelled a little oil platform or something for like 5 minutes. Went back under the water and ran away. But American, German and
I saw
the
documentary on that with John Belushi. It was great.
Yeah, I think we squared up with the Japs on that one.
Oh, I would say we came out of the head on that little kill ratio. Never mind the bombing, never mind the nukes. USS New Jersey just parked off of Tokyo for like 4 weeks, and it was like just start sending tenders with more shells. We're never going to stop. But anyway, Japanese and German submarines were right up against our coast.
Mm-hmm.
So to train carrier pilots in the Great Lakes was definitely made sense.
Yeah.
So
that was my long-winded way of agreeing with you, Bill.
Shot. Long story short,
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
So, Bill, back to
Yeah.
Glenview. The hangar for the 305th is still there.
Is it?
I mean, it's been repurposed, but yeah, it's still
I
there.
mean, yeah. Like I said, just kind of getting off topic, but great memories at Glenview. Chris flew out of Glenview. My dad flew out of Glenview.
Yeah.
I went flying with my dad on a couple occasions. But
Unofficially.
no, officially.
No, but I was gonna say they were cool with it.
No, when I was with the 82nd, I came home on
Oh,
leave.
yeah,
and we went
okay.
flying.
I thought you were talking about when you were a kid.
Oh, no, when I was a kid, that was a different story. But anyway, so we're at Glenview, and he goes, "Hey, come look at this." I was with my dad, obviously, and there was this Chinook sitting on the tarmac, and he's like, "You're gonna see." He had no rotor blades on it. You know, he had come off I don't remember what kind, C5 or something. And somehow they got it there, and there was like a foot of mud
Yep.
in the back of it, all the way in it.
Yeah.
And he goes,
"It came from Panama."
Yeah, they flew down to Panama to recover this Chinook that got stuck in the mud, and they had to lift it out and fly it home. And they had loaded it up on an aircraft and brought it back. And yeah,
Well,
they were down there doing
all
missions.
the water ops where they kept landing, but that just kept filling up full of mud.
They were down there doing missions with the 12th group and doing their thing. But I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was our hangar queen for quite a while.
Yeah.
So now something that we talked about during the last show, and I mentioned was Truck Lagoon.
Yes.
And I also mentioned the TV show Expedition Unknown. The first 2 episodes of this season, they're at Truck looking for U.S. naval aviators.
Oh, to bring the remains home?
Yeah, it is actually a very good show. I know Marty doesn't necessarily like Josh, but the scenery, the scenery and the videography is incredible.
Oh yeah.
And I just didn't realize how big
surprise
Truck was. I mean, it's the size of Rhode Island.
Well, you got to remember, lagoons in the South Pacific aren't these little alcoves like some of the movies and stuff make them out to be. Some
you mean
of
like Blue Lagoon?
Yeah, like Blue Lagoon. Some of them are hundreds of square miles. You know, it's a barrier reef with some islands inside and stuff like that. I mean, Truck Lagoon was the Japanese Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, and they talk about that.
Yeah.
So there's some great video. You should check it out.
Oh, I've seen it. I mean, Brett Gilliam.
I'm seeing the
those I'll check out. But Brett Gilliam and I talked about it at times back in the day when I had my dive store back in the early 90s, and we were just getting into technical diving, mixed gas diving.
Yeah.
And he was the certification agency we were going through. Brett Gilliam, for those who don't know, was one of the pioneers of technical diving and scientific diving and stuff like that. He just passed away last year, I believe. He was trying to put together a group to go to Truck to do some technical diving there to kind of promote his agency. And I was like, oh, I really want to go. We talked about it, and unfortunately, I just could not get it together because I had a new store and I had kids that were just babies at the time, and just the money wasn't there. So. But it's always been on my list of stuff to do because I really wanted to do it. The water's, it's South Pacific, so it's typically clear and warm, and there can be some dangerous currents and stuff, but it would make some great video.
Yeah,
we talk about. Oh, go ahead. We talk about those. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You were also at the time. You were also talking about diving. We were trying to get together a group to dive Edmund Fitzgerald.
Yeah, but then we ran into a little legal trouble.
Yeah, then somebody else beat us to it.
Well, there's that, but there was also the legal of, hey, it's a grave, and we don't want you diving on it, and all that. So I did dive with the group that went up to Lake Superior to Arc Royal, Isle Royale, sorry, to dive the wrecks up there. They filmed for National Geographic, so it was freaking cold. Clear water, freaking cold. So, the wrecks in the Great Lakes. If you're into wreck diving and historical stuff, go dive to Great Lakes because they found another wreck not too long ago. I want to say it's in Lake Ontario or Erie. It's Ontario, Erie, or here. I can't remember which now. It's one of those three, and it disappeared during the War of 1812, and they found it, and it's in perfect condition, like it sunk yesterday. And it's wood because we don't have salt, we don't have worms, we don't, and our water's very cold, so it keeps it perfectly preserved.
So we talked quite a bit about these lagoons, or they're not technically they're coral atolls,
Mhm.
which speaks to your point, Bill, about how big they are. Lagoon is basically like a little U in the water and so on and so forth. But a lot of them are called lagoons, but honestly, they're coral atolls, and it's the rim of like a prehistoric volcano that blew its stack and then sank a little bit, and then coral grows on top of it. So there's a lot of either circles, ovals, or triangles of these little islands, and inside those very shallow, they make these perfect harbors. So America advanced across the Pacific on two major axes: the southern one under MacArthur and the Seventh Fleet, and then the center one under Nimitz with the Third and Fifth Fleets, depending on which one it is. And the one in the center was Truk. So the Caroline Islands, I think, is right near where we would eventually set up our little base at the Ulithi. That was kind of our version of that. And in the south, it was Rabaul. And these are islands that were never invaded, because the comparison we drew in episode 16 of the Op Center is, we all know about Normandy. Okay, in Normandy, the Germans had maybe 10,000 people against our 180,000 people that we put on the shore on day one, and we know how tough Normandy was.
Yeah.
Rabaul had an actual navy defending it, which the Germans didn't have. Rabaul had a huge air force defending it, which the Germans didn't have, and Rabaul had 120,000 soldiers, not 10,000. So we can stop and just imagine what invading Rabaul would look like. And Truk was kind of the same way. I mean, it was just this huge regional capital almost of Japanese naval and air power. And for Rabaul, there's a lot of Japanese army there as well, which is why they were never invaded. And so what the Americans did, they just bypassed it. We talk about what the tactic of island hopping actually is. That's a word that's misunderstood almost as much as asymmetrical warfare. If I had a goddamn quarter for every time I had to explain what island hopping actually was, the old line, I'd be, the Maharaja of the multiverse by now. But it's not about what you attack, it's what you don't attack. And Truk is definitely one of those places you don't, or I should say you don't assault. You definitely attack it. And that's why there's all those wrecks there. Because the Japanese had not a whole lot of warships comparatively, but all their support ships. Troop ships, tankers, oilers, tenders, cargo vessels, stuff like that. And it's just carpeted with all the wrecks. And then never attacked. I mean, there were still tens of thousands of people there when the war ended, and they got the message, and then they had to surrender. But yeah, they're huge. I don't know how deep. I don't know anything about diving, so I don't know how the water is. But yeah, that's why there's so many ships down there. Now, a lot of them are old supply ammo ships, so sometimes, like, some wrecks are off limits from what I understand, because they still think there's dangerous ordnance on them.
Yep.
It's not that they think, they know. If you watch those episodes, you actually see live torpedoes.
Yeah, but like how dangerous they are. Like, okay, the casing might eventually corrode or something. I don't know anything about metallurgy. And now the propellant is out.
Torpedo, leave it the fuck alone.
Yeah, especially those Japanese ones. The Type 93 Long Lance, it's got like a 950-pound warhead. That's a lot of explosive to go off at once. I don't care how old it is.
Cool.
Yeah, what, 52 ships that we put down?
Something like that. I don't know the exact number.
A Truk? I don't know the exact number, but
I mean in like the one attack, the one big.
Yeah, I was gonna say that number sounds a little low, because man, it wasn't like okay, they say it's a Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor was attacked once. I mean, we Pearl Harbored that place every day for the better part of 6 months. Seriously, because we didn't want to invade it. Just remove it from the equation and move on to the next island. It's not about what you attack; it's what you don't attack.
Exactly. All right, guys. We're coming to the end of our show. Thanks for joining us. A lot of good material. Think about colorful armies. Napoleonic, Civil War,
Emu.
Even the American Revolution. I mean, you know, you had
I was
blues
going
and
to say
reds and
that's
greens and-
definitely mine. The Northern American Revolution, you have Native Americans up there, the 6 tribes of the Iroquois. You get some crazy colors up there, like the stuff they would wear and stuff. You know, definitely very interesting colors up there.
Yeah. So, you know, your battles don't have to be drab all the time. They can be colorful. I'll be honest with you. Nothing gets my blood going more than seeing those 151 British around the melee bags in their red coats, staving off 4,000 Zulus. Just, it gets my blood boiling. Just, yeah. Great game. Anyway, we want to thank you guys. Thank everybody for joining us today. Please like your comments, subscribe, comment. Share this video or share our channel. We do have merch on SitRep Podcast Supply Room. We'll be updating that shortly for new stuff, and look for future content. There will be a video coming out tomorrow. I'm not going to tell you what it is. And then next week, it looks like I'm going to be going back to South Africa to January 22nd, 23rd, 1879.
There you go.
So, yeah. Look for that too, guys. In the meantime, I want to thank Chris, Marty, and Jim, as always, and Fred, wherever Fred may be. And yeah, there's Fred. The unofficial mascot. Sergeant SitRep, you've been replaced by Fred.
Hey. Before we go there,
all right,
he's still with us.
Sergeant SitRep. All right, guys. Thank you very much for joining us on this first episode of Season 10. We will see you in the next one.
You have been listening to the SitRep podcast. We hope you have enjoyed the show. Make sure you like and subscribe to all of our channels on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Discord. Remember to join us every other weekend for a new episode of the podcast, and don't forget our other programming on Wednesdays and Sundays. Thanks for listening.